Okay, so you've decided to own a laundromat. No employees calling in sick, no perishable inventory rotting in a walk-in cooler, no customer sending back a bad meal. Just quarters and dollar bills dropping into machines while you sleep, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's the pitch. Genuinely the closest thing to a money tree that doesn't involve a crypto white paper. Laundromats are one of the most misunderstood businesses in America, and the misunderstanding runs in a strange direction. Most people assume the danger's inside the store, a broken machine, a slow month. The real danger almost never comes from inside the four walls at all. By the end of this, you'll understand where it actually comes from, why the business can be running perfectly and still get taken away from you, and why some buyers pay a price for these stores that the cash flow alone could never justify. Before we get to the money, we need to get one thing straight. A laundromat is not one business, it's at least three. A pure self-service coin laundry is a real estate and utility play with almost no labor. A hybrid store with wash and fold and pickup and delivery is a labor-heavy service business wearing a laundromat's clothes, pun fully intended. And an unattended app-based store is closer to a vending machine network than either of those. They share a storefront and a row of machines, but the economics underneath are different businesses entirely. This video focuses mainly on the mid-size self-service and hybrid model, the one most new owners actually buy into, because it's the one with the most moving parts and the most ways to go wrong. The number that gets you first is the buy-in. Opening a laundromat in 2026 runs anywhere from $200,000 on a small, bare-bones coin laundry up past $1 million for a full flagship location with premium machines and a real food and folding operation. Most serious new builds land somewhere between $300,000 and $750,000. Buying an existing store is usually cheaper, often $90,000 to $400,000, but you inherit someone else's decisions along with the keys, their machine age, their lease terms, their neighborhood's direction, whichever way it's heading. Nobody hands you a laundromat with a clean slate. You get someone else's laundry, metaphorically and occasionally literally. Equipment eats the biggest single chunk of that number. A new commercial washer runs $1,500 to $15,000 depending on capacity, and a dryer runs $2,500 to $10,000. Fill a mid-size 40 to 60 machine store with new equipment, and you can put $150,000 to $300,000 into washers and dryers alone before you've opened the door once. Then there's the build-out. Plumbing capable of running dozens of water lines at the same time, electrical service upgraded to carry that load, gas lines for the dryers, a water heating system large enough to keep every single machine supplied with hot water at once, which often means running multiple heaters in parallel just to keep up. None of it is optional. A laundromat, underneath the folding tables and the vending machines, is a small industrial utility plant wearing a storefront, and about as romantic as that sounds. Add real estate. A lease on a laundromat-sized commercial space runs $2,000 to $8,000 a month depending on the market. First month, last month, and a security deposit before you get the keys, which alone can run $10,000 to $24,000. Add licenses, permits, a health department sign-off, a fire inspection because of all those dryers, and a working capital cushion for the months before the store finds its rhythm, and a realistic total for a mid-size independent laundromat sits somewhere between $250,000 and $500,000. That's before a single quarter drops. Literally, before a single quarter drops. Now here's the mechanism that actually decides whether any of that works, and it's simpler and more brutal than most new owners expect. The industry calls it turns. How many times a day does each washer actually get used? The formula is almost insultingly basic. Number of machines times the price per wash times turns per day times days in the month equals your revenue. A 40-washer store getting 5 turns a day at $4.50 a wash is a healthy business. The same 40 machines getting 3 turns a day is a different business entirely, and the rent, the utility bill, and the loan payment don't care which version you're actually running. Your machines have never once asked how your quarter is going. This is where the math gets uncomfortable fast. Losing a single turn a day on a 40-washer store costs you roughly $5,400 a month, almost $65,000 a year. And turns don't fall because of one dramatic event. They fall because a competitor opened 2 blocks away with newer machines and the nap. They fall because 3 of your washers sat broken for 3 weeks, waiting for a part that, for reasons no one has ever explained, always seems to be on back order. They fall because the apartment building across the street finally got in-unit laundry hookups. You won't see this as a single bad day. You'll see it as a slowly declining number on a monthly report that takes you half a year to even notice. On the cost side, rent and utilities are the 2 line items that actually run this business, and neither is really yours to control. Industry benchmarks put fixed rent and payroll alone at over 75% of total overhead for a mid-sized store. And here is the laundromat's version of what weather is to a rancher. You do not set the price of water, gas, or electricity. Your city and your utility provider do. When a municipality raises water and sewer rates, or a gas utility passes through a rate hike, that's a $2,000 a month increase appearing on your bill with 0 warning and 0 negotiation. Roughly $24,000 a year disappearing from the bottom line because a rate board somewhere made a decision that had nothing to do with your business, in a meeting you'll never be invited to and would probably find very boring anyway. Add maintenance at $500 to $1,500 a month because a broken machine earns nothing while it sits idle staring at you like an appliance-shaped guilt trip. Add insurance, supplies, and payment processing since digital transactions carry real fees that eat directly into margin. Total operating costs typically run 65% to 80% of revenue. What survives that is a net margin of 20 to 35% in a well-run store, which sounds excellent until you remember it's 20 to 35% of a business that took $250,000 to $500,000 just to open. Now here's a trap that catches owners who think they've found the answer to thin margins. Wash and fold, pickup and delivery. On paper, it's the obvious upgrade because a pound of laundry dropped off and picked up later can be priced at 2 to 3 times what the same load would earn as a self-service wash. But that revenue doesn't arrive for free. The moment you add wash and fold, you've stopped running a real estate and utility business and started running a labor business, the exact thing the self-service model was designed to avoid. You need staff to sort, wash, dry, fold, bag, and log every single order without mixing up someone else's underwear with someone else's towels, which is a genuinely high-stakes logistics problem than it sounds on a pitch deck. You need a driver, a vehicle, insurance for that vehicle, and a scheduling system. Payroll on a wash and fold program can run 15 to 25% of the revenue that program brings in, on top of everything else eating your margin. Owners who add the service without adding the systems to run it often find the extra revenue arrives right along with extra chaos, extra liability, and a labor bill that quietly cancels out most of what looked like free money on the spreadsheet. Here's the angle almost nobody talks about, and it should worry you more than the utility bill. A laundromat is, by design, an unattended cash business running most of its hours with nobody watching it. That's not a footnote, that's the entire operating model. And it's exactly the profile that attracts 2 very different kinds of trouble. The obvious one is theft. Coin boxes pried open overnight, vandalized change machines, break-ins during the hours when the only thing between your equipment and a crowbar is a glass storefront and a strongly worded sign about video surveillance that may or may not still be plugged in. The less obvious one is worse for a legitimate owner, because cash-heavy, low-paperwork businesses like laundromats have historically been used to disguise the origin of money. Banks and regulators treat the entire industry with elevated suspicion by default. Getting a merchant processing account approved, getting an SBA loan funded, even opening a basic business checking account routinely takes longer and demands more documentation for a laundromat owner than for almost any other retail category. Not because you did anything wrong, because the business model you chose looks on paper exactly the one criminals chose decades before you did. You inherit that reputation before you've processed a single load, like showing up to a job interview wearing the same jacket as the last guy who got fired for embezzlement. But the single biggest threat to a laundromat isn't the machines, the utility bill, or even the bank's compliance department. It's the building itself.
A laundromat needs one specific thing to survive: ground floor square footage in dense residential neighborhoods full of renters who don't own their own washers. That description is also almost word for word the description of a neighborhood in the early stages of gentrification, which means the exact shift that made your laundromat successful, more renters, more foot traffic, a growing customer base, is the same shift that makes your landlord's land worth dramatically more torn down and rebuilt as apartments than it's worth as your laundromat. Your own success is quietly writing your eviction notice. To see exactly how this plays out, look at what happened on Mission Street in San Francisco. A simple coin-op laundromat sat on the corner of 25th Street, netting its owner around $8,000 a month, a perfectly healthy small business by laundromat standards. The owner also owned the land underneath it, and he had no interest in running a laundromat forever. He wanted to replace it with an 8-story building holding 75 apartments. That single lot, valued as a laundromat, was worth a modest sum. That same lot, valued as an approved multi-unit housing site, was worth enough that the property eventually sold for $13.2 million, after a legal fight over the building's supposed historic status dragged on for the better part of 5 years.
Because apparently, even a laundromat can get a historic preservation lawsuit if the neighborhood cares enough. The laundromat itself never stopped being profitable. It was demolished anyway, because the land it sat on had become worth more empty and rebuilt than it was worth full of washing machines. That's the mechanism in its purest form. The laundromat wasn't failing, the real estate simply outgrew it. This is why owners in gentrifying neighborhoods describe the same pattern over and over. Rent climbs because more people are moving in and demand for the building rises with them. And when the lease comes up for renewal, the landlord isn't just weighing a higher number, they're weighing whether to renew a laundromat tenant at all against replacing the building with dozens of units on the same lot. You can run the highest turn, best managed laundromat in the city, and the decision that ends it gets made in a real estate office you were never invited into, based on a spreadsheet you will never see. Which raises an odd question. If the operating cash flow is this thin and this fragile, why do laundromats still sell for solid money? And why do buyers keep lining up for them? Because when a laundromat goes up for sale, buyers aren't just pricing the washers and the customers walking in the door. Laundromats are typically valued as a multiple of sellers' discretionary earnings, commonly 3 to 5 times annual net income, depending on lease length, equipment age, and how consistent the turns have been. A store clearing $150,000 a year in owner earnings on a long, stable lease with modern machines can sell for $450,000 to $750,000. That multiple exists because a laundromat, done right, throws off cash with almost no owner labor required, which makes it attractive to buyers who specifically want a business they don't have to work inside of, entrepreneurs building toward SBA-backed ownership, investors assembling a small portfolio of unattended cash businesses, or someone using the store's income to qualify for financing on something bigger. The valuation isn't really pricing the machines. Nobody is paying a premium for a good dryer. It's pricing how many years of predictable cash flow are left on the lease before someone decides the dirt underneath is worth more than the business standing on it. So let's build a 2 honest years. In the good one, you're running a 50-washer store in a dense rental neighborhood. Turns average 4.5 a day, vend price sits at $5, and with dryer income and a modest wash and fold add-on, you're pulling roughly $35,000 a month, close to $420,000 a year in gross revenue. Utilities behaved, no major equipment failures, and at a 30% net margin, you clear around $126,000 for the year. You put a slice back into newer machines, and your lease still has 4 years on it. On paper, at a 4x multiple, you're sitting on a business worth over $500,000. That's a genuinely strong small business, the kind that makes laundromats worth talking about in the first place. In the bad year, the city raises water and sewer rates mid-year, adding $18,000 to your annual utility bill with no warning. A new app-based laundromat opens 3 blocks away, and your turns slide from 4.5 down to 3.2 a day, which alone cost you nearly $85,000 in lost annual revenue.
Two of your older washers need $4,000 repairs in the same quarter and sit out of service for weeks waiting on parts. Your net margin compresses from 30% toward 12%. And with 18 months left on your lease, your landlord tells you the building has been sold to a developer with no plans to renew a laundry tenant. The valuation you thought you had disappears along with the lease, because a laundromat with no years left on its term isn't worth a multiple of anything. It's worth whatever the washers fetch on Craigslist. You spend what should have been your best year negotiating a buyout instead of running a business. The gap between those 2 years has almost nothing to do with how hard you worked or how clean you kept the machines. It's a utility rate you didn't set, a competitor's opening date you didn't choose, and the real estate decision made by people who were never in the room with you. So, no employees to steal from you, no inventory to spoil, no customer who can send back a bad meal. What a laundromat has instead is a landlord watching the same neighborhood you are, running very different math on what he sees, and no obligation whatsoever to tell you what he's found.